All right, guys, welcome back to the Pocket Mads channel. It's Maddie here, and normally Monday would be our Meta Monday meta report videos. However, in just a few days, the new expansion and the new season starts up for Pokemon Pocket. Ruler of the Skies releases in just a few days, and while this past weekend was the PMPT Season number 3 Invitational Tournament, the metagame is going to be wrapping up very, very quickly. So I'm not going to be doing a meta report in today's video. I think most people probably understand everyone's kind of looking forward to the next season already. However, right now, I do want to give a massive shout out to all of the players that qualified and played at our Invitational this weekend. I want to give a shout out to everybody that ended up placing highly and winning. It means a lot to me that you guys continue to participate. It really is absolutely incredible. That being said, PMPT number 40, the next PMPT tournament and the first tournament of the new B4 Ruler of the Sky season and our new PMPT season number 4 is open for registration. So link down in the description below for you guys to play in PMPT number 40. That is going to be, again, like I said, the first tournament since or after this, this new set comes out, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's video, by the way. And today, we're going to be building new deck lists. We're going to be theory crafting, and we're going to be utilizing some of the new cards that they highlighted in the Ruler of the Skies trailer. Things like Mega Rayquaza, things like Mega Metagross, things like Mega Gallade. We're going to be building decks using those new cards, some early concepts, again, just to kind of get the gears grinding, just to kind of get the thoughts out there. This is what this types of video is all about. I got one deck currently built out for each of the 4 EX cards that they did reveal. I'll talk a little bit about them, and then at the end, maybe we'll do some off the riff, kind of deck building, theory crafting. But comment down below if you guys have any deck ideas utilizing some of the new cards that are going to be coming out. Definitely comment them down below. I would love to hear them. Let me know down there as well. Like, what do you think of these decks? Would you change them? Would you play them differently? I really am curious. And again, the full set isn't released yet. The reason why, again, I'm making this video today and then not like a meta report is also because I have a couple of videos planned for, of course, the early days when the new set comes out, but also the couple of days before the new set comes out. One, I think that the new update coming to Pokemon Pocket, like the big 3.5 gig update, is set to release tomorrow. So once that update gets pushed, I would not be surprised if the set gets data mined and all of the cards coming in the new set do get leaked. So I want to have some time available to talk about and kind of give my full set review as soon as those cards come out. So that's another reason for it. And also, we have the Pocket Mads website, which is launching soon. So stay tuned for that for more information regarding that. But anyway, we're just going to get into it. This is going to be kind of an off the riff type video. Just we don't play these things. We just kind of go for it. And it's a ton of fun. Go register for PMPT number 40. So anyway, the first deck list that we're going to be talking about today is going to be Mega Rayquaza, right? So Mega Rayquaza is definitely the front runner in terms of popularity for this new set. It's on the cover pack, right? I mean, Ruler of the Skies is alluding to Mega Rayquaza himself. And a lot of people, I think, don't fully understand this card, or maybe didn't. We did talk about it a little bit. We talked about it when the trailer came out and they revealed this card. I think some people were maybe thinking about things the wrong way about Mega Rayquaza. Now, this Pokemon is a basic dragon, 180 HP. No weakness, and a retreat cost of 1. So already, we're kind of killing it, right? So no weakness, a basic Pokemon, 180 HP, retreat cost of 1. Those are all really, really good things. Now, the attack, I think, is where a lot of people have maybe, lost the plot a little bit with Mega Rayquaza. But we'll see. And again, we don't know exactly what's coming out in the set, but they did reveal 2 really strong cards to pair with it. Mega Burst does 50 damage. You discard all fire and lightning energy from this Pokemon. You have no choice. You have to discard all of those energies. And then after you do, or once you do this, the attack does 50 damage for each energy that you discarded this way, and the attack costs a fire and a lightning. So in order to use this, you need 1 fire, 1 lightning, and then of course, once you attack, you discard anything that's on Mega Rayquaza, and then you do 50 for each energy this way. Now, typically a card like this really wouldn't be very good, I would say, in most cases. There's just not a lot of, I guess, use cases for playing dual energies, but also stacking energy for 1 single strong attack. If you wanted to play, a heavy-hitting 1-hit KO Pokemon, we do have Mega Diancie with a package all around it, and we do have Mega Charizard, which in general is actually quite a strong deck list. When you take a look at most top-tier meta decks in the game right now, you'll notice that they all hit between, 120 to like 160 damage, right? They're not technically one-hit KO decks. And while there are some of them, the best meta decks are more so about one-hit KOing smaller Pokemon and just two-hit KOing larger Pokemon while being either fast-paced, consistent, or very reliable, or sometimes really explosive, right? Maybe you get that turn 2 potential. Think things, like Mega Blaziken, Mega Sceptile, Hydreigon, right? Sort of high roll type strategies. Maybe paired with some different engines, things like Greninja, maybe Chingling. There's a lot of different scenarios where how we kind of play decks. But when you take a look at the top tier meta decks, Mega Rayquaza does fit the bill, in my opinion. This attack to me isn't meant to be a one-hit KO attack. This is meant to be an attack that comes online early. On turn 2, you should be guaranteed to hit for either 150 or 100 damage minimum, sometimes 200 damage. And the reason why that's guaranteed is because some of these new cards, right? The main one here is going to be Rainbow Cave. This is a really, really important card to Mega Rayquaza. You get to discard the energy from your zone and then just sort of use the next one up. So it's basically put the energy at the front of your energy zone in the discard pile and then use the next energy. This allows you to kind of, if you really want to, kind of be much more likely to get one of each energy type, which is important for Mega Rayquaza. But it's really strong because it's paired with the new Dragonair, which is coming out, which allows you to attach that energy that you just discarded from the discard pile to your active Dragon Pokemon. So everything's lining up very, very correctly for Mega Rayquaza here, as you can see. So this deck list that I built is going to be playing 2 Mega Rayquaza and then 2 Dratini and then 2 Dragonair. We will be getting a new Dratini. We don't know what it is yet. We're going to have to wait and see. Here we just have the tail. Can I zoom in more on this? We can a little bit. It's not great. We have 2 of the tail strike Dratini and then 2 of the new Dragonair. So the whole concept here, right, is that this Dratini is a basic Pokemon. It's a Dragon Pokemon and it's got a retreat cost of 1, and that in general is pretty good. Now the thing about this deck list is you actually want Mega Rayquaza in the active. Like you kind of do, because from your second turn onward, Mega Rayquaza is just going to be attacking turn after turn after turn, and that's the entire concept of this deck list, is to be very fast-paced, very aggressive, and to keep that momentum going every single turn. Think about things like Mega Manectric. That's how I'm really looking at Mega Rayquaza. It's going to be very similar to Mega Manectric, maybe with a kind of an additional step in some ways, but you have that turn 2 150 potential instead of turn 2 90, and Mega Manectric has won multiple, and I mean like literally multiple PMPT tournaments, one of the best decks we've ever seen in Pokemon Pocket. So I think Mega Rayquaza is going to be similar to that. The upside here, I think as well, is that if you do lead Dratini, you can attach to it and then retreat to it, and yes, that energy goes to the discard pile. We can bring that energy back with Dragonair and attach it to Mega Rayquaza, which is a pretty big deal. So at the beginning of the game, as long as you can get double Dratinis down with double Pokeball, then you should be able to just manually retreat into Mega Rayquaza if you need to. And then also, like, we're going to be moving energies into the discard pile regardless because of Rainbow Cave. So theoretically on turn 2, we want to find our Dragonairs, get those energies onto Mega Rayquaza, and then just hit for 100, 150, or 200 damage. 200 damage is possible, by the way. Actually, is it? I think it might be. Yeah, it should be. So if you go second, on your second turn, you can hit for 200. That's an attachment and a discard on turn 1, and then turn 2 is an attachment and a discard. And if you get double Dragonair on turn 2 and you go second, then you can bring both of them back into the discard. That's 4 energies on Mega Rayquaza. That's turn 2, 200 damage. And then basically, as long as you can get double Dragonair on your bench, then you're kind of generating 100 additional energy to Mega Rayquaza every turn. So even if you do get a 200 damage attack off, you're kind of capped at 150, right? Which is sort of the general theme of Mega Rayquaza, is that you're either hitting for 100 every turn or 150, depending on how many Dragonairs you get on the board. So that being said, we've got double Pokeball, and we are playing Lucky Ice Pop, right? Think about Mega Manectric decks. They used to play one Lucky Ice Pop, mostly just because you're at 180 HP, and most of the time it is somewhat worth it for you to maybe play an Ice Pop, get a little bit lucky, and then find your way outside of 2-hit KO range, which could easily be the difference between you winning and losing the game. We're also playing 1 Giant Cape and 1 Protective Poncho. You could maybe play double Poncho. The thing is, there are bench damaging decks. Dragonair is slightly frail, so one of the ways to really get around Mega Rayquaza might be to target the Dragonairs, but it's not a winning strategy because you're really just delaying the inevitable, and Mega Rayquaza doesn't have to attack. It can just continue to build energies, right? So 1 Protective Poncho to keep those Dragonairs a bit safe. Giant Cape here to bring your active Mega Rayquaza to 200 HP. So again, 200 HP and Lucky Ice Pop and PCL. That's Pokemon Center Lady to keep your 200 HP basic Mega Rayquaza alive is honestly going to be really annoying. Like, that's a pretty tanky Pokemon to deal with. It should be able to sustain quite a decent amount in the active spot, especially considering that in general is hitting for 150 like every turn, right? Which is kind of crazy. Sites here to more consistently get our Dragonairs. We do have one Sabrina, one Cyrus, double Research, one Copycat, and then, like I said, double Rainbow Cave. So that's the deck that we're kind of rocking with here, right, so far. This is, in my opinion, how I think I'm playing Mega Rayquaza, given the cards that we have available to us right now. But that might change. This is just sort of a visual for you guys. This is sort of what I'm thinking. And again, you could play Small Balloon for the retreat cost, but keep in mind, Dragonair can move those energies out of the discard pile like you're playing Flame Patch anyway, so I don't really think you need any retreat support. Maybe an X speed, but to be fair, I think Poncho you're going to want for Dragonair, and then I think Giant Cape might be your best option for Mega Rayquaza, but if you really wanted to hit some specific numbers, be a bit more aggressive, then maybe even something like a Rocky Helmet could be better. Maybe you don't need Sabrina and Cyrus. There are some different slots here. To me, the core of the deck is going to be Rayquaza, Dragonair, Rainbow Cave, and then kind of whatever standard stuff you would typically play in a deck list. There's a lot of different options in Pokemon Pocket right now. Likely going to be getting more options when this set comes out. But to me, that's the core concept of Rayquaza. Now, maybe something else comes out in the game. Now, also, we did get, what's the, yeah, right here. So we do have Gouging Fire. This is a really interesting card because it is also, I'm just going to slot one in here and we can take a look at it if you don't know. So Gouging Fire is an interesting ancient dragon Pokemon, also a basic that came out in Paradox Drive. I think that was what the set name was. But this is an interesting Pokemon. It does 100 damage and you discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. And then during your opponent's next turn, you take 30 less damage from attacks. So this could be an interesting Pokemon to kind of pair with Mega Rayquaza. It does make the prize math a little bit awkward, but if for whatever the reason you maybe wanted to go into a Gouging Fire before going into a Mega Rayquaza, maybe Oricorio is a pretty significant issue, then there you go. You could kind of just play Gouging Fire. Keep in mind, you are playing Fire and Lightning Energy for this deck list, so there are other Pokemon that you could play to kind of just deal with Oricorio a bit easier. There are other Dragon Pokemon that might be just better than this, but this is definitely kind of an interesting option. Gouging Fire could be a very interesting Pokemon. Dragonair in general is going to be very interesting for these ancient dragon Pokemon, right? Because you're able to kind of take those energies back out of the discard pile. It is a bit of a jumbled mess because you're playing so many different basics, like that can be certainly a little bit awkward. But again, Rainbow Cave plus Dragonair is going to be an incredible support package for any dragon type Pokemon in the entire game. So just keep in mind, this is going to be a deck built around Mega Rayquaza, and the reason why I think Mega Rayquaza probably is going to fit a bit better with Dragonair as opposed to maybe some other dragon Pokemon is probably mostly just because it's a basic, right? Because so it's super easy to just throw it into your deck list. Whereas like if you wanted to play like Mega Flygon or Mega Dragonite could be an interesting example, or not Mega, but just normal Dragonite. That could be interesting, but keep in mind, you're going to have to evolve your Dratini into Dragonair. So I don't think you would really use this Dragonair like for Dragonite unless it was generating energies to itself, which it definitely could. So there is some potential there. But again, then you're playing like a stage 1 lineup, like a 2-2 lineup with also like a 2-2 lineup if you're playing Flygon and Rare Candies and stuff. So that could be a little bit awkward. For me, I think Dragonair is probably going to pair most well with Mega Rayquaza because I do think Mega Rayquaza is super strong, but there's going to be other potential decks. And I just haven't built them yet, but trust me, this Dragonair package with Rainbow Cave is going to be really, really strong. Every time I say this card name, I'm going to want to say Rainbow Road, but I haven't yet. Maybe I will at some point. Okay, the next deck we're going to take a look at here is Mega Metagross, okay? So Mega Metagross is also a Pokemon that I'm low-key very afraid of. When I talked about this, I thought, you know what? This card actually terrifies me. It's a Stage 2, 230 HP Steel-type Pokemon, retreat cost of 3. That means we do get access to Heavy Helmet and Lily. So this thing will take minus 20 from attacks. You can play Lucky Ice Pop, you can play Lily, you can play PCL. Mega Metagross is going to be one of the more tanky Pokemon in the game. I'm thinking about this in similar ways to Mega Swampert, which actually was very, very destructive and very dominant in the sense that when that thing got set up, it was absolutely terrifying because sometimes you just could not KO it, right? They ran Ice Pops, they ran Heavy Helmet, they ran like a Lily, and then all of a sudden, like, you just got attacked turn after turn after turn. I feel a very similar way about Metagross. Now, when you take a look at the other cards that are announced for this set, a couple of interesting bits here. Wally could be interesting, generating some additional colorless energy. I think this is a better card for Gallade. Personally, you'll see it in a little bit. They did give us Genesect. Now, this card isn't very good, but maybe it ends up being pretty good. I mean, it does one at KO Oricorio, so that's definitely a factor here. And again, You know, maybe you do slot in Genesect. Maybe there's better options. Maybe we get a non-EX Metagross that we can kind of throw into this deck list, because Oricorio is certainly a factor. Now, they have not showed us Beldum yet, so we don't know what Beldum is going to be, so I do have a placement here, and that's just Meltan. So replace Meltan with Beldum. We're officially just going to be playing a 2-2 Metagross Beldum lineup with 2 rare candies, right? We might get Chingling locked into Infinity. That's tough. Then you just play Middle Evolution if Chingling's popular. Just keep in mind, very easy to change around your deck very slightly, depending on if certain things are just hard countering you, right? It's not that hard to imagine. But anyway, I think Orthworm actually is the best way to play this, unironically. So Gatling Slug here, 3 energies, 100 damage, 10 more for each metal energy on Mega Metagross. I'm going to do that so often. Such a hard Pokemon name to say. So if you get 3 metals on this thing, it does 130. But the cool thing is every turn that does go up by 10 energies, 10 damage for every energy. So it kind of fits the bill when you think about all of the other stage 2 attacking Pokemon in the game that hit for 130, 140. It's around that range. Now, the upside to Metagross is that it's a lot more tanky, right? You do get access to Heavy Helmet, which is pretty unique. Orthworm is a pretty decent energy accelerating card against slower decks. Other than Charizard, you can kind of just park Orthworm in the active and just attack infinitely. And by the time you bring in Mega Metagross, maybe it's hitting for like 150, 160. It definitely has a lot of potential here. Maybe there's something else that comes in the set that is better for Metagross. But for me, I do think you want to play Steel Energies. Dialga is an interesting option. I know some people are going to be asking me about Dialga because I did forget about it in the last video. So you know what? Let's kind of do this. We'll cut Orthworm in this case and we'll play Dialga. Now, the reason I don't love Dialga compared to Orthworm, even though maybe it is a bit more effective, is that this allows you to technically lose the game through Dialga getting KO'd and then a Meltan, right? So if you don't find your Metagross, then Dialga plus Meltan is effectively the game. Heavy Helmet does not work for Dialga, but you could play Steel Apron if Sleep was very popular. It's less good, but it's theoretically not that bad at all. And Dialga might be a better option, but again, keep in mind, Dialga is really, really bad when you go first, because then you have to wait 3 turns to even generate energy. So in general, I don't like Dialga as much as I like Orthworm. Also, it doesn't help your Oricorio case at all, right? So keep that in mind. So again, I understand Dialga does exist. It's not terrible. I just don't think it's that good living up to today's standards. I think Orthworm's better. Theoretically, Orthworm can damage Oricorio. Again, I know there's nothing in this deck to deal with Oricorio, but we don't have any other Metagross cards in the game. And I assume they'll give us a non-EX one in this set, so you can just slot that in and then just sort of 1-KO Oricorios probably with the non-EX Metagross. But the rest of the deck here, other than Orthworm and Metagross, is Rare Candy Pokeball, 1 Ice Pop, 1 PCL, 1 Lily, double Heavy Helmet, and I am playing a small balloon in here, mostly just because if we do lead with Beldum, I'm assuming it's going to have a retreat cost of 1, but maybe it doesn't. If it has a retreat cost of 2, then that's certainly going to be kind of tough, because if you lead with it, you want to get it out at the active spot. So I'm assuming that one thing here is that Beldum will have a retreat cost of 1, but who knows, maybe not. 1 Copycat, double Research, 1 Cyrus in the deck list. So a very straightforward deck, one that I really don't think is that bad. Decks like this aren't actually common in the metagame. And the reason why decks like this aren't common is because you're not putting enough pressure on the active Pokemon, right? Orthworm is great to generate energies, but effectively it doesn't do anything, right? Like 10 damage is never going to progress the board state, not even into baby Pokemon sometimes, right? You can't rely on Orthworm to put enough pressure to force your opponent into something substantial. However, I don't think that's a big issue, because Metagross will ramp out of control if your opponent doesn't deal with Orthworm, and even if you're forced into Metagross before they're forced into their Mega Pokemon, Metagross will probably be living 2 attacks, right? Just keep that in mind between Heavy Helmet. And again, maybe Blaziken ends up being kind of a counter here, so maybe Steel Apron does make more sense than Heavy Helmet. I honestly don't hate it. So Steel Apron's really cool because it's -10 from damage, but it also negates status conditions, right? So this is going to be really nice for sleep stuff. You could slap this on an Orthworm, but it's also going to be really nice for Blaziken, for Sceptile, things like that. So maybe Steel Apron is enough, right? With 230 HP, Steel Apron plus PCL plus Lily plus Lucky Ice Pop. I guess you wouldn't need PCL if you were running double Steel Apron. So in that case, maybe you just play double Ice Pops, 1 Lily. This to me sounds absurd. I honestly do not want to hit this at all. I think people slept on Swampert almost entirely, mostly because it had the potential to hurt itself and discard its own energy, and then you would lose and you're like, this card doesn't seem that good. Metagross does not have that problem. In fact, it only has upside, right? Like if you just wanted to wait, even if it took you a couple of turns to find Mega Metagross, that's fine. Like honestly, like you might just wait until the very end. You might just say, hey, opponent, like just maybe in that case we do play instead of Small Balloon, like there's well, you want to play Small Balloon. So maybe like one Steel Apron and then like a Poncho, now that I'm thinking of it, because you don't want Metagross to kind of get targeted from the bench on like, with bench damage. That would be unfortunate, I think. So maybe something like that. But in those decks, you could just immediately go into Metagross anyway, like once you get 3 energies and start pressing the issue. So maybe you don't need Poncho. Again, like forcing your opponent into double Orthworm so that they have to go through those Pokemon. By the time you do get into Metagross, if they don't play bench damage or whatever, you come in and then you're just hitting for like 150, 160. Every turn it does ramp. So it's honestly something that's going to be incredibly strong. The ability to almost kind of always be able to extend your HP above 2-hit KO range and kind of like at some point ramp into a 1-hit KO range with your attack is in general going to be incredibly strong. So I feel really strongly that Mega Metagross is pretty slept on and will likely kind of be like probably the best metal Pokemon in the game. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Again, the hard counter to Metagross is in fact going to be Charizard. You just cannot not beat Charizard. You're going to lose. There's no way around that. You can't bring Mega Metagross's HP up above 270. It just doesn't work. So Mega Charizard, Y at least, will always want to KO Metagross. And I know that might seem like an inherent downside here, and we will probably have to change around the deck a little bit for Oricorio counterplay. But into certain decks, you're not going to lose. This is going to be a deck that just can't lose to certain things, which is kind of how Steel-type decks are in general. So that's my early draft about Mega Metagross. What do you guys think? Comment down below. I'm actually pretty terrified of this. Hopefully things like Oricorio, Chingling, whatnot can kind of keep this in check, because I would be not happy to see this extremely dominant. Next up here, let's take a look at Gallade. This is what I have cooked up for Gallade. This is what I'm calling Gal Ninja. So here's the thing about Gallade. This is a good Pokemon, but I think a lot of people looked at Gallade and they maybe thought, well, we have Mega Lucario, so what are we doing here? And honestly, that's why I built a Mega Gallade deck that I think sets it apart from Mega Lucario specifically, but kind of fits the bill of these types of Stage 2 Greninja type decks that we've been playing over the last few seasons, being Blaziken, being Sceptile. So Mega Gallade EX, 220 HP fighting type, 1 fighting, 2 colorless, which is a big deal. 100 damage, and if you played a supporter card from your hand during this turn, it does 150. Now, that's not a terrible condition. Sometimes you won't have a supporter card, but most of the time you will. And in general, Mega Gallade is quite strong. It's really not a bad Pokemon at all. But again, why would you play this over playing something like, of course, Lucario? Like, what's the upside? Now, you do have a bit more HP. To me, the upside is that colorless energy, which gives you a bit more flexibility in the ways that you can play it. So here's the deck list that I have built. And this is going to be the Greninja decks, right? So just like Blaziken, just like Sceptile, these sort of high roll Stage 2 decks that play like, double basics, 1 middle evolution, 1 mega, and then they play a 1/1 Greninja line and a couple of lead-off Pokemon. That's exactly what we're doing here. It's the same Pokemon lineup. Double Ralts, 1 Curlia, 1 Mega Gallade, 1 Froakie, 1 Greninja. Sorry, my mic just fell. Sorry about that. And then we have Hitmonlee and Sock, which are the common lead-off Pokemon for the fighting type currently right now. Now, the thing about this deck list is that there's nothing really stopping you from playing dual energies. And that being said, if we were going to be playing dual energy in this deck list and you really did maybe want to be able to use Greninja as an attacking option, which might be, like, honestly not that bad, you maybe would cut Hitmonlee and Sock for like a Furfrou, right? Or something colorless that, of course, could utilize both fighting and water energy. I don't think you really need to. Blaziken doesn't, Sceptile doesn't, but it is an advantage to Gallade being able to, of course, have the 2 colorless energy and the attack cost. So maybe you just say whatever. Like, I know Hitmonlee's colorless, but maybe you just play Furfrou, right? Maybe we just play a couple Furfrous in here and we're playing water and fighting energy. All of a sudden we can attack with Greninja, you can attack with Gallade. Now you might be like, what really sets apart Gallade? Because the thing about Blaziken and Sceptile, the Megas, is that they have attack costs of 2. And you'd be right. However, we now have access to Wally. Oh, I took it away. Hold on. I got to bring it back. So Wally is a really good card, and I think it's one that I think is definitely meant to be played with Mega Gallade. So Wally allows you to take a colorless energy from your energy zone and then attach it to your Stage 2 Pokemon. This is something that we can use to kind of turbo to Mega Gallade. We can get it out a turn earlier, but the upside to Wally is that you can also use it with Greninja. You can generate that colorless energy onto Greninja. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. This is the main reason why I wanted to play Gallade with Greninja, is because of the dual energy capability, but also the fact that Wally works with both. Now, we are only playing one Wally in this deck list. Maybe we cut a copycat and just play like double Wally. You could also play Karina in here if you really wanted to. I kind of just threw in one Arena of Antiquity, double Research, double Wally, double Pokeball, double Rare Candy, and then of course one Copycat, one Juliana, one Cyrus. Now the extra damage really might not even matter that much, so like, you know, there's a case to be made of saying, well, you know what, maybe we just cut Antiquity and we do just play double Copycat so we can play more supporter cards. You know, Wally's going to satisfy the condition, so will Juliana, so will Research, so will Copycat. So there's a lot of refinement here, one that I don't think I've fully kind of nailed down. But fundamentally speaking, I think Mega Gallade has a ton of potential with the, sort of this Greninja stuff or in dual type energy decks. Maybe there's a world where we do play Mega Gallade and Mega Gardevoir together. I don't know, personally, because the colorless energy does kind of make it sound like that might be possible, but it's not something that I feel extremely confident about. In fact, I do actually want to check, does Mega Gardevoir have colorless energy in the attack list? No, it has 2 psychic, right? So you just wouldn't really do that. I don't think so, but maybe there's just other cards that are coming out in the set that are going to allow us to maybe play Mega Gallade with other things. To me, the easy decision here is Greninja. Gallade, Greninja with the Juliana package, Wally kind of turboing colorless energy to both of these Pokemon. They're both used as attacking options. Maybe you play Furfrou or something like this, and then of course you can play dual energies and attack with both Greninja and Gallade. Could be really fun, right? Like, and again, like you have the bench pressure, but maybe you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go into Greninja's turn 2 or something, maybe so I can just hit for, you know, that 80 damage on the active. Like there's a lot of potential here for sure. I think Mega Gallade is going to be fun. I don't know though if this is going to be better than Lucario, and I did say that. I think Lucario is sort of here to stay. Definitely one of the better fighting type Pokemon in the game. And if you're playing Gallade, you're probably playing it because of Wally. You're playing Wally with it. You could just play Turbo Gallade. You could just play like a baby Pokemon to Gallade. I mean, theoretically, you could play Gallade in any like type of deck, any dual energy deck or in any other deck. So there's an infinite potential here. This was just sort of the first thing that I thought of and thought that might make sense, but maybe Juliana and Wally is a little bit too much. But again, keep in mind, like you're supposed to be playing supporter cards with Gallade. It's like Silvally. Maybe you play it with Silvally. I don't even know. Although Wally only works for stage 2 Pokemon. So you would probably want to pair this with other stage 2 Pokemon with colorless energy in their attack cost. And I don't know how many of those are meta relevant other than our guy Greninja, but maybe you do play this with like Magnezone. You know, like maybe Gallade Magnezone ends up being super toxic. Who knows? I mean, honestly, that sounds kind of broken. So maybe that's something that happens. Gallade Magnezone could be crazy, like a fighting lightning type deck. There's a lot of potential here. A lot of potential. I'm not going to begin to, you know, go dive in deep with Mega Gallade. I'll let the top, you know, meta players kind of figure that out. But just know that this is more of like a tech card. Mega Gallade is more of like the tech Mega, where it's sort of like what can we do here? Because there's a lot of options. Metagross seems that way to me, but in general, I do think this is something that I probably want to just go all in on and play this in a way that is very straightforward. Quite frankly, I'm going to be playing this probably with Orthworm, and I'm just going to be piling energies onto it. But lastly here, and one that I think not many people have really cared too much about, but that is Swanna. That's right, the new Swanna EX, which in general I think is actually a very strong Pokemon. Let's take a look. Now, I don't know if it'll be as strong as the other stuff, but I did build a deck with it. Swanna here, 150 HP, 3 colorless energy, 140. So it's not a bad Pokemon at all. Like, at all. This is a pretty strong Pokemon. You can turbo to it. We do have access to 50 HP Ducklet for Lycia shenanigans. We have the new Skyless so that the negative effect of this attack isn't that big of a deal. So again, I actually do sort of like Swanna, and here's the deck list that I have built with it here. And this is going to be Ducklet, Mantike, Turbo, Swanna. We are playing Skyless so that we can double pivot. We also have Ilima, Double Elegant Cape, and Training Area, which are 2 really strong buff cards for Stage 1 Pokemon. And all of a sudden, we have 180 HP Swanna on turn 2, hitting for 150. That to me doesn't sound that bad. Keep in mind, guys, this is a this is a 2-prize Pokemon. 2-prize Pokemon have a massive advantage in the metagame, especially ones with 180 HP that are somewhat aggressive and very consistent. I think Swanna has the potential to actually be a very significant meta player. Again, I do I don't know what people are thinking here. This card's really good. You just go Mantike, turn 1, Splashy Toss, turn 2, you go in, you Jetwing for 140, 150, and then you just like Skyla or you Illima or you just don't attack. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you play double Skyla. Maybe we cut Illima and we just play double Skyla because like, why not? Probably just better. We also have Lucky Ice Pop PCL to stay alive. Again, Elegant Cape brings you to 180, which is kind of broken. Training Area hits for 150, and that's the deck. That's literally the deck list. That's all we're doing here. I'm playing X-Speed instead of Small Balloon because we don't really want to attach anything to these ducklets other than Elegant Cape, so when they evolve, they have 180 HP. I'm serious, guys. This is not going to be that bad at all. Now, the cool thing about Skyla is that you can reuse the same Swanna because it'll take a bit of time to set up the second one, so realistically, you're going to attack with Swanna. On the following turn, you'll Skyla, go into Mantike, retreat back into the same Swanna, and then you just hit. And you keep hitting. Now, the prize math here is scary. I will admit, you're playing Mantike, you're playing Swanna, so, bench damage is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a bit scary. And that's certainly a downside, so that's why I kind of threw the Illima in here, theoretically. You don't have to bench double Mantike, so, yeah. We're also playing Lissia, because that's a big advantage. Ducklet has 50 HP, Mantike has 30, so we can play Lissia, 1 Pokeball in here. Lucky Ice Pop again, because why not? 1 Cyrus. I think this deck's got potential. The prize math might be a little bit too scary, okay? And I do agree with that. I don't know how confident I feel in Swanna being a top tier archetype, but it's certainly not a bad deck at all. If this ends up being the worst thing coming out in this set, then we're doing fine. There's going to be some people playing Swanna in tournament that are going to go like 8-0, and you're going to be like, what is going on? And it's strong. It really is. So that's my take on Swanna. That's my initial take, my one deck kind of example for all of these new cards. Comment down below. What do you guys think? I'm just sort of getting some ideas out there. I'm sharing my thoughts. We will be going live on the set release. We're building decks. We're going to be testing them. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to be covering the metagame, the best decks, the tournament results, all of it this week. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be so much that happens. Again, sorry no Meta Monday today, but I really do appreciate everybody that competed this weekend. I just wanted to look forward instead of kind of go back and acknowledge the invitational results. I believe Suicune won, I think. Maybe not, actually. It was either Suicune or I don't actually remember. You know what? Let's pull it up here. Let's give him a quick shout out. Let's go to completed here, and we'll find the invitational. Where is it? It was this past weekend. Come on, can we find it real quick? Oh no, did we go too far back? Did we go too far back? No, we didn't. Where is it? Am I missing it? We need the PMPT invitational. Here it is. Yeah, Sceptile won. It was Mono Outlaw playing Mega Sceptile, who won. Magma Chocolate here in finals playing Suicune. Dark Greninja made top 4, so did Hydreigons, a couple of Miraidons. Pretty spread out results, not gonna lie. Very accurate reflection of what I believe the metagame was. But again, shout out to all these players. These were the top players of the season. And shout out to Mono Outlaw for being the Season 3 PMPT champion. Very, very cool stuff. Anyway, guys, shout out, all right? Stay tuned. Tons of stuff coming. Comment down below, what decks are you going to be playing? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Wait for the full set to come out, where, again, we break it all down. We review the set. It's going to be very, very exciting. I'm super excited. I'm so excited for the new cards and the new season. It's going to be a ton of fun. And, that's what we do here. If you're ever curious about what's good in this upcoming season, which decks you should be playing, what the metagame looks like, this is the place for you. But anyway, let's wrap this up, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go register for PMPT number 40 this weekend. Link it down in the description below. Peace out. Have a good one. We'll see you guys next time. And yeah. Bye.